Hi, I'm Stephanie Jaworski of joybaking.com. Today we're going to make a sticky toffee pudding, or maybe you know it as a sticky date pudding. And this is what it looks like. Now this dessert is what you would call a pudding cake or a cakey pudding, and that is because it is made with a date-filled cake. But what's really interesting is that as soon as we pull this cake out of the oven, we're going to pour a hot toffee sauce over the top. And what will happen is part of the sauce is going to soak into the cake and make it really nice and soft and moist and toffee flavored. But part of it will form a really nice sticky glaze on top. So good. Now this is perfect on a cold winter's day. At least that's when, you know, my mother used to serve it. So we're going to start by preparing our dates. Now you will need 1 cup, which is 130 grams, of finely chopped dried dates, and make sure they're pitted. And the reason we finely chop them is because we don't want the dates to go to the bottom of the sink to the bottom of the pan during baking. Now, what we're going to do here is put your finely chopped dates in a heat-proof bowl. Now, as you can see here, dried dates have quite a hard, tough outer skin, and we want to soften that. So what we're going to do is over top of our dates, we're going to put 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda and just sprinkle that over the top. And then I'm going to pour over top 3/4 cup, 180 milliliters of boiling hot water. And what the baking soda and the hot water is going to do is it's going to soften that tough outer skin. And then just stir that, like so. And then what we're going to do is just let that sit for maybe 10-15 minutes. So what that will do is not only soften the outer skin, but what it's going to do, what we want is for the hot water to cool down a bit, because we don't want to add boiling hot water to our cake batter. So I'm just going to put that aside. So meanwhile, while that's cooling down, preheat your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 180 degrees Celsius, and then you will need an 8-inch squared 20-centimeter baking pan. Now you can use either a metal pan or you could use a ceramic. If you want to take the dessert to the table and serve it there, you might want to use a ceramic. But just keep in mind, if you use that type of pan, it normally takes the cake a little longer to bake. So what we're going to do is I'm going to lightly butter my baking pan, and I'm going to use melted butter, and with a pastry brush makes it a little easier. You could also just spray your pan with one of those non-stick vegetable sprays. Okay, so now what we're going to do, I'm just going to let my dates cool down, or the water cool down a bit, and soften those. And when we come back, we'll start our cake batter. So now we'll make our cake batter. If you are using an electric stand mixer like I am here, use your paddle attachment, or you could just use a hand mixer for this. The first thing you need is 5 tablespoons, which is 75 grams of butter, and have your butter at room temperature. You can use salted or unsalted butter for this. And then I'm just going to beat the butter just until it's nice and creamy and smooth. Okay. And as always, scrape down the sides and the bottom of your mixing bowl as much as you need to, because you want to make sure everything gets mixed together. And next we need 1/2 cup of firmly packed light brown sugar. That would be by weight 105 grams. Now always, you know, brown sugar tends to have lumps. So what I like to do is just run my fingers through there, get rid of any of those. And then I'm just going to beat this together until it's nice and light and fluffy. You know, cut maybe 2-3 minutes, medium speed. Okay, that looks good. So next, what we're going to do is add 1 teaspoon of pure vanilla extract for flavoring. And then we're also going to add 2 large eggs. Have your eggs at room temperature. And I'm going to add just 1 egg. I'm going to beat that in, and then I'll add the second egg. That looks good. Quick stir here. So now for our dry ingredients, in a separate bowl I have 1 1/4 cups, which is 165 grams of all-purpose flour. You may know that as plain flour. And to that I'm going to add 3/4 of a teaspoon of baking powder, along with just 1/4 of a teaspoon of salt. And just whisk that in. So now what I'm going to do is add my flour mixture, and then I'm just going to beat this in and do it slowly because we don't want that flour coming up in our face. And then about halfway through, I'm going to add our dates that we have been soaking here, along with the water. Okay, that looks good. So I add all this along with the liquid because we want all that. That water has now been flavored with the dates, nice and sweet. And I'm just going to mix that in. Pretty good. Let's move this out of the way. Just going to give a quick stir. Make sure everything's mixed together, and then just pour it into our pan. And then with the back of a spoon or an offset spatula, just spread it out. Doesn't that look gorgeous? Such beautiful color from the brown sugar and the dates. So now what we're going to do is bake this for about 25 minutes, or until it turns a nice light golden brown and a toothpick inserted into the center comes out clean. Now, if you are using that like a ceramic pan, like I said, it will take longer. It could take up to, sometimes I find like about almost 35 minutes. So just keep that in mind depending on the type of pan you use. Baking time can be different. Okay, so into the oven. So now while our cake is baking, we're going to make our toffee sauce. So in a saucepan, first put 4 tablespoons, that's 55 grams of butter. Now you can use salted or unsalted here. And if I'm actually using unsalted, so what I'm going to do is add just a little pinch of salt, maybe 1/8 of a teaspoon. So if you were using salted butter, you don't need to do that. And then to that, I'm going to add 1/2 cup, 120 milliliters of heavy cream, or you may know that as heavy whipping cream. And that's cream with a 35 to 40% butterfat content. And then I'm just going to add like 1/4 of a teaspoon of pure vanilla extract, and then we need some sugar. Now you will need 1/2 cup, 105 grams of firmly packed either light or dark brown sugar. It really depends on how strong you want your toffee sauce flavored. My mom always used light brown sugar, so that is what I'm going to do here. So now what I'm going to do is just put this over medium heat, and what I want is the butter and the sugar to melt, and then I want the sauce to just come up to a simmer. We just want it nice and hot. Okay, so everything's all, our butter's melted and our sugar, doesn't that look gorgeous? Now, of course, if you use dark brown sugar, your sauce would be a little darker in color than mine. So what I'm going to do now is just turn down the heat, keep it nice and warm until my cake has finished baking. Okay, so cake is now done. Doesn't that look gorgeous? Beautiful golden brown. So now, what we're going to do is take either a wooden skewer, I'm actually taking a toothpick, and just punch a whole bunch of holes all over top of the cake. And that way, when we pour our hot toffee sauce over the top, it'll soak in. That looks good. So now what you want to do, what I've done is just put a half of a cup, 120 milliliters of our sauce, hot sauce, into something with a spout. Makes it a lot easier to pour over top. And then just slowly pour your sauce over the top of the cake. So once you pour it over, you can just take the back of a spoon or an offset spatula and you want to make sure that the sauce has completely covered the cake. Sometimes what I do too is just take my oven mitts, this pan's still really hot, and then just kind of, because otherwise it tends to collect on the edges. And if you need to, you could also pour a little extra on top there. So now what I'm going to do is just let that cool just for like maybe 5 minutes, and when we come back we will try our sticky toffee pudding. So now we're ready to try our sticky toffee pudding. So this, you can serve it either on a plate, cut it into squares, or my favorite way is just like all puddings, is just in a bowl. Makes it a lot easier, more casual. And then I just like to break it up. So you can just take as much or as little as you want, like so. And then we had we made extra toffee sauce because we only used a half a cup to pour over the cake. So we have some extra, so you can just, if you want a little more flavor, just pour a little over top. And then you can you could really go fancy here, which we will today. I like a little, some chopped nuts. I'm using pecans. That really goes good with the toffee flavor and the dates. And then, what's nice, either vanilla ice cream is very nice, especially when it's hot. You get the hot pudding and then the cold ice cream. That's very good. But today I'm going to use another one of my favorites, whipped cream. A little of that. And I'm just going to pour a little bit extra toffee sauce over that cream. Okay, and we'll give it a try. A little bit of everything. That is really good. I mean, you've got the soft, moist cake. It's got the dates, it's sweet, but not too sweet. And then you've got, that toffee flavor with the whipped cream, the nuts. Fantastic. So enjoy. And until next time, I'm Stephanie Jaworski of JoyBaking.com.
you.